Takatoshi meets Emi by chance one day, and although the moment is brief, something about her quietly touches his heart. He has no idea that this seemingly random encounter is actually a reunion she has been waiting for years. When he turns around, Emi hurriedly pulls out a book and pretends to read, and this shy, awkward scene leaves him a little dazed. But Takatoshi, being naturally reserved, still doesn't dare to approach her. When Emi gets off at the same station, Takatoshi panics at the thought of losing her forever. At that point, he gathers what little courage he has and follows her, pretending he only wants to ask for directions. With his head lowered, he quietly asks for her number. He admits to Emi that he saw her on the train and immediately fell in love with her. Emi tells him that she doesn't have a phone. Takatoshi assumes she is rejecting him, so he turns and is about to leave. But Emi quickly stops him and gently explains that she really doesn't have a phone either. Afterwards, their conversation becomes surprisingly natural. Takatoshi introduces himself as an art student, learns that her name is Emi, and discovers that they are both 20. Before they part, he shyly asks if they can meet again. Emi nods, but as she turns away, he doesn't notice the tears filling her eyes. She softly tells him that she will see him tomorrow. Hiding a sadness he still doesn't understand. The next day, Takatoshi searches every corner of the train, but Emi doesn't appear, and he starts to think their meeting was nothing more than a fleeting moment. However, later, while he sketches at the zoo, Emi suddenly appears behind him. Takatoshi is surprised and even more confused when she mentions that his drawing will be posted in the classroom. He wonders how she knows, but she quickly changes the subject and asks him to go with her to Takaragaike Lake. As they reach the lake, Takatoshi tells her that this place is his most unforgettable childhood memory because he almost drowned there when he was 5. He further explains that a mysterious woman had saved him, and he never forgets the feeling of being held so tightly while she carried him out of the water. Hearing his story, Emi quietly shares that she also survived a life-threatening accident when she was 5. Takatoshi is shocked at the coincidence, believing their connection is fate, unaware that none of this is accidental. Later, when he asks how he should contact her, Emi gives him her landline number. The next day, after class, a classmate tells him that the teacher hung his painting on the wall, and Takatoshi suddenly remembers Emi's strange prediction. Still, he brushes it off as a coincidence. As their meetings continue, Takatoshi is amazed at how perfectly their interests match, and the more time they spend together, the more their bond deepens. One night, when they are about to say goodbye, he hesitates, but Emi senses his feelings and quietly confesses that she has noticed him for a long time, even when he never noticed her. At that moment, Takatoshi finally gathers his courage and asks her to be his girlfriend. Emi agrees, but she admits that she's not someone who heals others and that her heart is fragile. Takatoshi doesn't think much of it at first, but as their relationship deepens, he slowly begins to notice the small abnormalities in her behavior. Wanting to spend more time with her, he even rents a place near the school so they can enjoy their own little world together. While they are cleaning the room, Emi quietly turns away and suddenly begins to cry, leaving Takatoshi confused, unable to understand why her emotions shift so suddenly. Afterwards, as they unpack together, Emi finds a small locked iron box in his luggage. Takatoshi explains that the box was given to him when he was 10 by the woman who once saved his life, along with the message that they would meet again someday. He admits he still carries it everywhere, unsure if he will ever see her again, and Emi listens quietly, as if his words touch a secret she has been hiding. Later that evening, while walking her to the station, Takatoshi asks if he can hold her hand, and she shyly agrees. Takatoshi admits that it is his first time holding a girl's hand. Hearing this, Emi becomes overwhelmed and starts crying again. Before she gets on the train, they promise each other to meet the next day. From that point on, their days blend into warm routines, shopping for ingredients at the market, cooking together in the small kitchen, and enjoying a quiet happiness they both longed for. When Emi makes stewed beef, Takatoshi praises the taste, saying it is exactly like his mother's recipe, and Emi casually mentions that it is her mother's recipe. Takatoshi freezes for a moment because he still hasn't introduced Emi to his family yet. He gently asks if she somehow knows the future, but Emi simply smiles and says she is just an ordinary girl, though her eyes hold something unspoken. That night, Emi stays at Takatoshi's apartment for the first time, and they share a close, tender moment while she quietly sheds tears as she looks at the moon. When Takatoshi gently asks what is wrong, she gives a vague excuse about strict rules at home and leaves before midnight. Afterwards, Takatoshi notices that she accidentally left her diary behind. When he opens it, he finds every detail of their meetings written clearly, but the dates make no sense. The diary claims they first met on March 16th, even though today is March 1st. It even describes moments that haven't happened yet, such as meeting his parents. And these exact future events unsettle him deeply. Takatoshi becomes so confused, trying to understand, when suddenly he receives a call from Emi. She is calling from a public phone booth. Emi, sounding calm but distant, tells him to bring the box to the art classroom tomorrow and promises that she will explain everything. Right after the call ends, she disappears from the booth as if she was never there. The next day, Takatoshi goes to the meeting place and finds Emi standing in the sunlight, looking almost as if she has stepped out of another world. She finally tells him the truth. Her life moves in the opposite direction from his. While Takatoshi moves forward day by day, Emi moves backward through time. So the moments he thinks she is predicting are actually memories from her own past. To help him understand, she opens the iron box and shows him a photo of both of them with their parents, proving that their lives truly connect, even though their timelines run differently. Emi explains that they meet only once every 5 years, and each meeting lasts 30 days. She also reveals that their lives have crossed many times before. When Takatoshi fell into the lake at age 5, it was the 35-year-old Emi who saved him. When Takatoshi was 10, it was the 30-year-old Emi who gave him the iron box. And in the future, when Takatoshi is 35, he will save 5-year-old Emi during a terrible accident. In this strange loop of time, they keep protecting each other. And now, at 20 years old, they finally share the only point in their lives where they are the same age and get to love each other. Takatoshi finally realizes that the diary Emi showed him was actually written by his future self. His 25-year-old self had told everything to Emi when she was only 10. Even though this proves their connection was always meant to be, he can't accept it right away. Suddenly, all the beautiful moments they shared begin to feel planned instead of natural. He starts thinking that every hug, every smile, and every romantic moment is something Emi already knows will happen. This thought breaks his heart, and he runs away, even though it only makes him feel worse. Later, a heavier fear hits him. He wonders if avoiding her will change their future, and if the Emi he knows might disappear into a timeline where he no longer exists. As he remembers her gentle smiles, he also recalls the times she cried without telling him why. And then it finally makes sense to him that while he has been enjoying what feels like their first days together, she has already been living through their last. When he finally understands this, he realizes that her pain has always been much heavier than his. With that realization, he calls her to apologize for everything. Emi may not remember what he is talking about, but he still apologizes and tells her he is ready to face everything. He admits that the same love that hurts him is also what gives him the strength to move forward. On the 21st day of their reunion, they meet again at the train platform. The moment is sweet, but both of them know that each meeting also brings them closer to their final goodbye. Over the next 8 days, they follow the diary's memories, trying to make every moment joyful and treasure every minute they have left together. Then, on what is Takatoshi's 29th day, though it is only Emi's second, they visit his hometown so she can meet his parents. There, they eat dumplings. Emi eats a hot dumpling, and as she starts moving her legs quickly up and down, Takatoshi is reminded of the exact same gesture he remembers seeing when he was 10. He also remembers that Emi had once encouraged him to become a cartoonist. Later, at dinner, Takatoshi's mother prepares a full table of warm, home-cooked dishes, and it is during this meal that Emi asks his mother about the recipe. Afterwards, they take a family photo of the one in the box. Moving forward, today is Takatoshi's 30th day, but Emi's first, and knowing their time together is almost over, Takatoshi decides to draw her portrait, pouring all the memories of these 30 days into a single image to keep her with him forever. Emotionally, Emi asks him for one last favor. She wants him to write down their story in a new diary from the perspective of his 20-year-old self, so that the next Emi can also have these memories. As he draws, Takatoshi recalls everything: the excitement of their first meeting, the nervous sweetness of their first date, the laughter on the playground, and the small moments that made their time together so special. But the more he remembers, the heavier his heart becomes, because every happiness he feels comes at the cost of Emi's pain. Still, Emi smiles softly and tells him that even knowing the pain ahead, every happy moment they've shared was real, and their love will always be worth it. With only 3 minutes left before their final goodbye, they return to the train platform where it all began. Both know that tomorrow their lives will move in opposite directions. His forward and hers backward, like two rivers that meet briefly before flowing apart. Yet, that short encounter is enough to change both of them forever. 5 years later, 25-year-old Takatoshi meets 15-year-old Emi and gives her the portrait he drew, almost like sending a message from the future. Another 5 years later, the 20-year-old Emi arrives in the art classroom as instructed by the diary. For her, it is the first day she meets Takatoshi, while for him, it is the last day he sees her at this age. The next morning, Emi visits Takatoshi's parents as his girlfriend, unaware that this moment is already part of their shared history. They begin dating, he holds her hand, and during this time, Emi explains the diary to him. They meet again at the zoo, and on the last day, Emi boards the train to see him one final time. For Takatoshi, it is their first meeting, but for Emi, it is the last goodbye of the most painful love she will ever experience. She cries because she has already lived through their farewell. Even so, she forces a smile and repeats the words she always uses to part. See you again. See you tomorrow. And with that, this beautiful story comes to an end.